I'm bringing you to my city of Temecula. For those of you who heard about Temecula, you might know us for our vineyards and good wines. But there's a lot more to Temecula than just a good wine. We are a uniquely strong and beautiful community. The focus of today's episode is culture and tradition, along with people who make our communities so much better. Aside for its incredible charm and friendliness, Temecula is also known for its beautiful wine country and hundreds of award-winning wines. I guess you can say our roots are deep and they are strong. And that's why our little town has grown into such an amazing community. Speaking of community, today's episode is focused on individuals who, through their love, care, tradition, and their culture, bring us all together.
Oh, even more, baby.
So today I'm taking you to home of Jami and Mike Fensel, where Jami, along with her friend Barbara, will share her Italian roots and show us one of her favorite Italian recipes. Italians are known for their passion when it comes to food and people, and Jami's no exception. Along with Barbara, Jami's working very hard in preparations for tonight's dinner. While Jami's working on pasta and wheel shanks, Barbara is preparing her special Caesar salad, and she's treating us to this amazing coffee cheesecake topped with chocolate and hazelnut. This table beautifully set, whole house smells like a fresh rosemary. With this aside, we're going to kitchen where we'll find out what is the recipe that Jami's preparing for us today, why does she like it so much, and how she makes it.
So perfect, friend. Delicioso.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Jami Fensel, and I moved to Temecula in 2014, and I absolutely love the wine country in this town. My family, I'm bi-coastal. I have a son in Miami and a beautiful daughter-in-law. They gave us a wonderful grandson, little Michael Richard, Mr. we like to call him. And then our daughter and her husband, Nicole and Abraham, live in the LA area, mid-city area. So family's very important, even though we're bi-coastal, so you'll catch me on a red eye most often going to see the grandson. And then as my daughter has children, I bet, I'll be there as well. But I love to cook. I'm not a baker. It would always seem like a chemistry project to me, and I just didn't like it. But I love the home cooking from my grandparents. And my grandfather was also a cook. He was the sausage guy. He made the sausage from scratch. And my grandmother, she was all the pasta queen. She could make any kind of pasta, any shape. She'd make it that morning. She'd make hot bread in the morning, and it was awesome. But yeah, I'm here in Temecula with fine wine and good cooking. Can't ask for more than that.
In my family, it was my mother who did all the cooking. My dad was in the military, so we were out in California, where my dad's side of the family was in Rhode Island, and my mom's side was in Chicago. And so my mother, from the time I was a very little girl, would show me how to cook, from meatballs to squishing the tomatoes to make red sauce, grating cheese for salad and to top on vegetables, whatever. But it was always, we made our food. My mom never worked outside of the home, so we lived on a budget on my dad's, enlisted military income. And so my mother cooked breakfast, we packed lunch, and we had a homemade dinner every night. I always tell people when they want my recipes, it's nothing fancy, it's peasant food. And a very dear friend of mine who's an outstanding chef, Rosie, said, it's not peasant food, it's comfort food. And I thought about that, and I thought, she's right. It wasn't fancy. My family could never afford veal. That was such a luxury. But the things my mother did on a budget were incredible. And there were literally always people at our kitchen table that weren't family members because they wanted my mama's food.
Yum.
In our family, you had to be home for supper. We didn't have a nighttime curfew per se. We had a supper curfew. And my mama would say, you bring whoever you want home. I'll just throw another handful of pasta in the pot. But you were home for dinner every night. No excuses. Period.
So everybody cooked in my family, including the men. The men cooked in that they made sausages and they prepared the veal, and they would go to the kitchen garden and they would pull all the veggies for my Nona. And my aunts also were very influential. They didn't have a meal they couldn't make, they could bake. They were awesome. So picture this, my grandfather built for my grandma on a back porch. He extended the roof line and he built her what today you call an outdoor kitchen. You have nothing on hers. This was like clearly the outdoor kitchen. 2 gas stoves, 2 fridges. Now my grandfather would rebuild those items or those appliances because they didn't have a whole lot of money. So it was out to the back kitchen, as we used to call it. And there was a wooden table placed out for it to roll out breads, dough, and cutting boards, and my aunts would come over, pull an apron on. No one really had a plan. It's just you cooked. You didn't know how to, maybe you didn't know how to do what you wanted to do, but you learned. You learned in that kitchen. It was awesome. It was a great place to grow up. I never ate anything out of cellophane or a cardboard box until I got to college, which ruined me.
But there's a lot more to Jami's story. One of my favorite things about this lady is that despite her education and her career, she decided to give all this up once she became mother. Family was and still is the most important thing in her life. But her nurturing did not stop at her family, as she decided to make a lifetime career of volunteering. She served and continues to serve as a board member on a number of local and national nonprofit organizations. Evidently, her grandma taught her more than just find recipes. She taught her to live in a way of giving and to always watch over not just your family, but your neighbors and community as well. This recipe goes to Nona and her way of cooking. Just like in old days, we are turning few simple ingredients into an amazing dish. So simplicity and skill are the key. Our chefs are ready and eager to start. We got all the ingredients ready for the recipe, so let's get started.
So these are already boiled, ready to go, and they need to be peeled. So I've got my fun friend here, Miss Barb, and she's going to go ahead and help me. I need help to peel these, and then from here, we'll go to the next step, which is the ricer. Very important. Or if you don't have a ricer, you can actually pull them apart with a fork, but I prefer a ricer because it's just a little bit even in the consistency. And I'm still like that chemistry stuff really bugs me, so I want to make it as perfect as I can, and so that my Nona upstairs is not saying, you should have done this. Pull them when they're a little bit warm, and so you don't burn your hands, it's a little bit easier. And I've let these cool down a little bit, but it's still okay. There's no mistakes.
She's going with 3 large potatoes, and she's using ricer instead of mashing them.
I have my mom's potato masher.
This is the consistency that you kind of want. That's why I like a ricer personally, but it can be forked off. It's whatever your talent is. I don't have much talent as a chef, just a little cook, and so I love this. I love the way it feels. So the next step is, voila, you dump it. So this is why kids would love this. And barbecue. And so you kind of put it out like this. And then you get eggs, Barb. Do you mind getting me 2 eggs? So the next step to this is Barb is going to crack the 2 eggs. I did 2 because the amount that I did. If you only do 2 large potatoes, you only need 1 egg. An egg is just the glue. That's all.
Is that good, Jimmy?
That's perfect.
Okay.
There's no perfection really, but I did say perfect. So I'm gonna make a little well, just a little well. And you're gonna go ahead and just put them right in there. And I
Split
clean
it
my
50-50?
granite. Yeah, 50-50. So now Barb will help me add some flour, and you kind of just wanna just sprinkle it on and keep adding it till you like the consistency. You can be a little more bolder.
Okay.
Because this is like dough. This is what we're trying to do, dough.
Is that better, Jimmy?
Oh, even more, baby. Keep it up. So the way I personally know that this dough is ready is I love the way it feels. The consistency, it's a little dense, but yeah, it still has some movement to it. I put my thumb in it. It doesn't like poof up, so it's too soft. So that's gonna make a great dumpling or gnocchi in this case. The next step is I use this handy thing, and I'm going to cut this in different sections so we can begin to roll everything out into a snake or just long tube or whatever it is. And I just... Now we start rolling our dough into a long snake. And I try to get it so that it's maybe a 1/4 inch thick. It's not too thick, but it looks nice and long. You don't want to stretch it. Next step is you grab this little device or a knife and you cut at an angle and you just cut like that, just little nugget. The next thing is you use this nifty tool that I found, and it has all the ridges in it, and it's made to roll your gnocchi so you get that fork indentation that your grandma used to do and make it into a C and then roll it in a fork. That's so labor intensive. This is so easy to swap. And you get those lines in it, and I keep squishing it, and I just like to put my thumbprint in there because the sauce, it's all about the sauce with the potato flavor that makes the difference in your culinary experience, I believe.
Jamie, I'm glad you mentioned about the little indentation in the pasta and the ridges in it, because that does make a difference in how the sauce grabs pasta. Mm-hmm. Like my mother used to always say, if you're going to make something baked with the sauce, use like the shell pasta or the spiral pasta because it'll grab sauce. She used to say they're better friends. But a flat pasta...
And here it is, just like that. A kitchen full of laughter and good times, and friends sharing recipes and memories in preparations to host more friends.
So the gnocchis are being prepared as far as just being rolled and put on flour and with parchment paper just to reserve them. And if you make too many, you can freeze them. You can't cook them and freeze them because they'll taste kind of starchy, but you can go ahead and freeze them in their dough consistency with flour, wrap them up good, stick them in the freezer, and you can put them in little baggies too once they get a little hard. So what we're going to do is we're using the potato water that we cooked the russets in. It's got like flavor in it already. I add a little bit more of the salt mixture, which was garlic salt, pepper, and sea salt. And no oil or anything is necessary, so you really get it boiling. And then next we're going to put our gnocchi in this water. And so we're going to put in a couple at a time. You don't want them to stick together, otherwise you get one big old starchy mess. And they'll tell you when they're done by they float on the top. So, because you have basically a salt bath going on. So I like to gently just throw them in. You could do a couple at a time. Remember, they are dumplings. They're popping up. They're floating to the top. They're not drowning. That's what you want. You don't want any drowned potato gnocchis. And so to give it about a minute and a half, and then 30 seconds after they pop up, you have medium heat on, your water's still boiling. Another trick for boiling water, so that you know how sometimes it boils over, you got a big gigunda mess in your kitchen. My grandma said you just put your wooden spoon across, and the heat, it keeps the water from boiling over. So we're going to put them in a dish, and you can be generous, you know, they're heavy, they are gnocchi, they're not a light meal. And And then I take a little bit of olive oil, and from one of my favorite places here locally in Temecula, Dixon Estates. They make the best olive oil ever. You don't need to salt and pepper these any more than what you already did in the process, but I bring them over. I made homemade spaghetti sauce, my grandma's recipe. So here we go. This is the homemade sauce recipe that my grandma gave me. It's got garlic, it's got basil. It actually has carrots and celery in it too that have been cooked to death, but it's excellent. You don't need to overpower your gnocchi with it's a marinara, not a meat sauce. You could do a meat sauce, but I prefer just a nice light marinara.
And here it is, simple perfection, and a testament to generations and generations of grandmothers who taught us how to cook and who passed these recipes on to us.
So perfect, friend.
Nona, you would be so proud of me.
The memory of Nona and her beautiful dish deserve the finest table. A wreath of a freshly cut rosemary is a perfect invitation to tonight's dinner. And looking around, I realized that there will be more than just few friends at the dinner table tonight. Our gathering and celebration will be joined by beautiful faces and smiles from pictures of Jami's ancestors. Did you think that was it? Well, you're wrong, because we are hosted by an Italian, which means there's a lot more food to come.
Main dish, I'm actually serving osso buco. Now, I'm using veal, but there's no way my grandparents could afford veal, so they would use a beef shank or a pork shank, depending on the flavor that you like. So these are pretty hefty babies. They're usually you want 14 ounce, but I bought like the last in this store called the Naughty Pig, and they're more like 18 and 23 ounce. So I actually went ahead and I pre-braised them, and then I go back and dredge them in the flour and do it one more time, just really quick. The reason I do that, because that's how my grandma taught me. She feels like the meat needs to get a little flavor in it first. It's like a double flavor thing. I don't even know if I have the right explanation, but that's just the way she did it. So, here we go.
I think we all better listen to what Grandma said. And she also said that once they're done, they should go on a bed of vegetables and they should go back in an oven for some additional roasting.
Recipe from a friend, so I can't take full credit for it. It's a no-knead baguette, and this has been sitting not quite 2 hours, so it has to rise a little bit more. And then you use a steam method to cook it. So I'll put like a pan of water here at the bottom, and I'll turn this all the way up to 475, take these out, of course, heat this baby up, the oven up, then stick the bread in, and you only cook it for like 20, 22 minutes tops till it gets a little crispy gold on the top. Perfect for tonight's dinner.
What's also perfect are the Grandma's instructions on how to make these veal shanks. As you can see, Jami has them ready for roasting, and they are in this beautiful vegetable gravy, if you will, and she is topping them with some fresh herbs. While Jami is finishing up with the veal shanks and getting them ready for roasting, Barbara is whipping her signature Caesar salad dressing. Another Italian who knows her way around the kitchen. I have to admit, this was the best Caesar salad dressing I ever tried. It was already afternoon, and our day of cooking was coming to the end. Ahead of us was a beautiful sunset and a group of friends who were just about to arrive. While some enjoy beautiful sunset and a glass of wine, others were eager to help with the cooking. Good food and good energy were everywhere. Our host brought some of his best wines for tonight's dinner, and he picked them for more than just their taste. Apparently, there is a great family story behind the wine.
Great story. The owner is from Iowa, farmer, moved to Paso Robles, bought this property and created this
I
vineyard.
did have a knife.
Wanted to pass it on to his two daughters. One daughter wanted to be part of the whole thing. The other daughter did not. He ends up dying, and it goes to his two daughters. And the one buys the other daughter out. And we've met her, and she's beautiful. She still lives in Iowa and comes to Paso Robles every few weeks to check on her business. And it's great wine. Highly recommended.
So why are you pairing this particular wine? You think this is a good pair?
I just like it. And because we're going up to Paso Robles in a few weeks anyway. So it's kind of, it's a nice place. I'm not sure everybody's been to it yet, but.
Turning one good story into another good story is always a good thing. So let's all cheer to that, and to amazing hostess and the grandma's old recipes, and to one that makes it all possible. Let's give our grace, and it's time to manja.
Right on top of it. I just thought you were well and English, a little bit of Irish.
Oh, I can imagine how good it is.
So, when Chef's Grill has, it's the yumminess that the
I can make more gnocchi.
really.
It's a Mexican blood, right?
No,
Jami.
you have to just
I say we raise our glasses to Jami.
Absolutely.
To Jami. Oh, my son.
I'm so humble.
So here goes the salute to all those people whose hearts are willing to give and their hands are willing to do in order to bring us together. Ironically, this episode was filmed in the midst of coronavirus outbreak. And if we learn anything from this struggle, that is to hold on to our family and to our friends and our community more than ever. Thank you for watching and for spending time with us today. My name is Vlada Vladik, and until the next time and next episode, please take good care of yourself and those around you.